Smile.dog is an old urban legend from internet that started as just that. A creepypasta about a cursed image of a smiling dog that was not just a scary story that people would read. It quickly became a whole phenomenon all over internet. Entire communities of internet flooding everything with the image of Smile.dog. Why? So first things first, let's start by the beginning. What was Smile.dog exactly? Okay, so we know that it was a creepypasta, right? The story tells us about a series of phenomenons that happened from the early to the late 2000s about a group of people who saw the original image. These people started experiencing a series of unfortunate events after they mysteriously received this image on their mail from an address with no return, making it impossible to know where it came from. People who lived this timeline in the story say that first they were visited by the entity of the smiling dog. People who lived this timeline in the story say that first they were visited by the entity of the smiling dog. It is often described by all the victims that whatever being this was would first visit them in their dreams, tormenting them with the worst nightmares they can imagine. And they also say that the entity wanted them to spread the word, to show everyone else what Smile.dog was, as they say that this was the only way for them to suit the nightmare they were living on. Shortly after they were visited by the entity Smile.dog is when the victims report they would get in their mail the image of this being. Everyone who received this email with the archive attached, they all align with the same description of the image. This image, the archive called Smile.jpg, is described by the victims as a picture of an unsettling dog that appears to be a husky, looking straight at the lens of the camera with what it seems to be a very pronounced smile that, more than looking eerie or creepy, it simply feels wrong to look at, as if you were seeing something that you were not meant to. Maybe call it a primal instinct or that gut feeling that tells you when something is just wrong. I don't know, you name it. The image was set in what appears to be a room in total darkness with very low lighting, and at the left of the picture you could see a hand that appears to be human, covered in blood. This is the image that people who were visited by the entity of Smile.dog in their nightmares will receive later on their email. And that was the way for the victim to spread the word about Smile.dog, by sending this image to other people for them to feel relief from the torment of the entity, and on and on and on and on and on and on and on. But now, let's snap back to reality. What was this image exactly? And where did it come from? The origin of the picture, even till this day, remains uncertain. There's many rumors and stories about the original image, kind of the thing that happened with the image of Jeff the Killer. But in this case, it's a little bit more complex than what it seems. Simply because there's many pictures of Smile.dog that people have claimed over the years that is the original one. And most of them, they are photoshopped or edits that people have created over the years, maybe to gain a little bit of notoriety, I don't know. And this just makes things a bit more complicated to track down the original image. We have seen many versions of the same concept of Smile.dog, but they all fit the pattern. A smiley husky dog sitting on the right of the picture, looking at the lens with an eerie smile. To narrow it down a little bit, we must know that the story of the image of Smile.dog dates back to early internet era, around 2008, 2007, maybe even 2009. As you can see it holds certain similarity with the image of Jeff the Killer. If we keep tracking down the origins, we can find out that Smile.jpg brings us to some old creepypasta sites of that era, and finally it tracks all the way back to 4chan. And it seems once again that 4chan is a forge where most of the creepypastas and horror phenomenons in internet originate. But here's the thing that makes things complex. That was almost 20 years ago, my friend, and nobody ever stepped in as the creator of the original image or even of the story behind it itself. The attribution got lost almost instantly after the story blew on the internet, and that was 2 decades ago, making it almost impossible to even glimpse the actual origin of this image and the story itself. With thousands of users reading and reposting it over and over in different forums, and especially, of course, 4chan. So then what can we say the origins of this creepypasta or even the image is? That's the funny part. We don't know. Nobody so far has been able to track down the original image, and we won't even talk about the story that narrates the horrible events about those people who were tormented by the entity Smile.dog. Because same as the image, it came out in an era where everyone intentionally would choose to remain anonymous, especially on forums like Reddit or 4chan, and those early years of modern internet. And if you ask, that's the biggest mystery about this creepypasta when you think about it. Smile.jpg, yes, the story and context inside the topic is eerie, and it absolutely caused nightmares to many users who read that. That part was real, but that was just horror doing its job basically. The real thing here is that nobody really knows where it came from. Who was the original user who wrote the creepypasta? And most importantly, which one is the original image? And where did it come from? Mysteries, mysteries. Decisions, decisions. Ashes to ashes. Dust to dust. This portal closes right here, right now. I also invite you to do your own research about the topic, and if you do, drop a comment down below. You might actually find something. Or reach out to my Instagram, it's also down below. I would love to read you. My name is D, and you know where to find me.